say good morning to you, Kevin Hincks, live at the CBOE, our pre-bell playbook. So what do you think about this bounce back on Wall Street this morning after the massive selling we saw on Friday?
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, and I think the main part of this recovery is a softening of the tone from what you heard on Friday. You mentioned President Trump saying everything's going to be fine. He also said President Xi Jinping does not want a depression for his country, and neither do I. So Scott Bessent is making some comments today that there's talks scheduled for this week with China. So there is some geopolitical lowering of the tension. And remember, in my opinion, these are still just part of a larger negotiation with China that is getting into a little bit of a back and forth. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, the market does not feel the same pressure that it did on Friday. As you can see, the futures are significantly higher. But volatility may still be here to stay. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the week. We have a fair amount of Fed speakers this week. Jerome Powell is speaking again this week. He's making opening comments. So we have a fair amount of speakers, but then what we really get is earnings season starting tomorrow morning with JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs, Nicole.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to the banks, right? So you mentioned those on tomorrow, Goldman City, JP Morgan, and also Wells Fargo. Wednesday, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, PNC. And Thursday, there'll be more. Thursday and Friday, there'll be more. What are folks saying about those bank earnings that are really kicking off this week? I mean, and we'll have, American Express and Regions and Truist and BNY and KeyBank and so on.
Well, it's a couple of things, right? Number one, there's a pretty healthy U.S. consumer that seems to be doing well. Hopefully we'll get retail sales out on Thursday. The rumors are we're actually going to get that number, so we'll see more about that. But then it's also a steepening yield curve that makes the banks more profitable. So that might be another thing. I'm sure that Jamie Dimon will have some type of cautionary tone to what he's saying, as he usually does, but you can't hide from the massive investments that I'm sure you'll cover throughout the show that JP Morgan announced today. So in terms of JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, two banks very similar in what they do, but JP Morgan much bigger. Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, much more in the trading, capital raise, IPO, mergers and acquisitions, especially with Goldman. So it's a different message you'll get from each one of those. So we'll get more airlines like on Wednesday with United Airlines. So that's significant, but it's great to see the start of earnings season, something more for the market to chew on. By the way, with everything going on with politics in the U.S., geopolitics, pretty historic day for this country and their relationship with Israel. So can't really ignore the significance of what's happening overseas today. So interesting day. Should be a nice, at least to start the day, a pretty nice recovery in futures and stocks, Nicole.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, oil, I think the oil story here below $60 a barrel. Very interesting to see oil still staying around this range. I mean, so the question is, I guess they're thinking there'll be a lack of demand, or why does oil stay below 60?
Well, because supply. Remember, it's a relationship between supply and demand. And if EVs are getting more popular, remember now it's Saudi Arabia and OPEC Plus going for market share. So they keep increasing supply of crude oil. So I think that is what's weighing on the overall crude oil markets. U.S. is pumping more. So the question is, at what point does the United States start to replenish the SPR? I'd like them to do that as soon as possible, because that's significant to national security. So anything under $60, I think the United States should probably be buying and replenishing the SPR. But right now, it's a supply-driven market, and OPEC Plus Saudi Arabia is increasing supply to the market. That's weighing on futures, Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. And OPEC is leaving its oil demand forecasts unchanged as it's working to revive more production. I just read that. So there's been some talk of that. So we will see. Thank you so much, Kevin Hincks. A happy Monday to you.